I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on GBM, we're diving into a powerful journey of healing and transformation. We're talking to a wonderful author. Her name is Jacqueline Joy Graham, and in her book, she reveals how anxiety can actually be a call to self-love. The name of the book, Journey to Self-Love: 6 Steps to Vertical Soul Alignment While Forest Bathing. Through her near death experience, divine energy infusions, and years of forest bathing, she discovered how to end anxiety naturally and to awaken to joy, clarity, and freedom. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her on TV today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Jacqueline, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Happy to have you on the show. There's so much to this book that I really had never heard of before. Forest bathing is among them. So, what exactly is forest bathing?
Well, I got called to go to nature. My internist, when I started having the anxiety attack so strong after the near-death experience, he did all this testing, right, on me and found out there was nothing wrong with me and ordered me no prescriptions, but said, take time to be with yourself. And so one of the things he told me to take walks every day. So I started taking walks and I ended up going intuitively. I went up to the forest, not just walking in my neighborhood. I went to the forest, and that is where I didn't call it forest bathing 30 years ago. I just went there and being in nature and surrendering to the divine was the answer for me. It was, not being in the mainstream life of going, running around and going, just really being in the quiet of
Mhm.
nature and an opening to the divine was the magic.
Wonderful, wonderful. I can absolutely relate to that. I like to get onto a good trail and hike from time to time, as often as possible, actually, or by the seashore, but somewhere I can connect with nature. And whether it's sunbathing or forest bathing, but find a secluded spot. You don't want to be at a Coney Island type beach packed with people,
Right.
but a nice quiet beach is good.
That's right.
Talk to us a little bit about your near-death experience that shifted your perspective on life and anxiety.
Okay. It didn't happen quickly, but what happened is that I was 38 years old and really on top of my game in the regular world. I had 4 children, a multi-million-dollar business with my husband, was a leader in my community, and had all the success in worldly terms that you could ask for by 38. But one night, in front of my children and my former husband, I dropped to the floor after dinner, just completely unconscious. I had been totally healthy, not one clue, not one symptom, was running 5 miles a day, endless energy, I thought, and dropped, just dropped. And so I don't know how long I was unconscious. It could have been 2 minutes, it could have been 20 minutes. I really don't know. But when I came to, I had no recall of what had happened. All that happened after that was that that evening started major problems for me that I had never experienced before, like the room spinning, everything feeling out of control. And I was the queen of control back then. So for me to feel so out of control was literally terrifying.
Mm.
And because no one spoke the word anxiety back then, I thought, you know, that I had a brain tumor or cancer or something. I thought something was desperately wrong with me. And
Mm.
so I went to my internist and he did every kind of test imaginable on me and said to me after 8 weeks, there's nothing wrong with you physically.
Mm.
And so he is, as I said, he ordered me to really spend time alone and look within, which I had never done.
Mm.
I was
Mm.
giving out to the world, right? So this is where the self-love comes in.
Mhm.
When you start to focus not selfishly on all about me, I don't mean that, but just like what's really going on inside you, you know what I
Mm.
mean? And that's what happened is when I got quiet and I started taking those walks in the hills. I didn't know what to do yet, but instinctively it was that I just called on the divine for help because I was just in a world where I could not figure out what was going on. I did try a little bit of therapy and some other things, but nothing was really working. And so I would go up to this fallen down oak tree that was in the woods on the forest where I lived. And no one went up to that forest. It was a very scary place for most people. I lived in a very Stepford wife kind of community. And so I would put my hands on that tree and just ground, into the earth through that tree. And then I laid on that tree with my spine on the trunk and just opened and asked the divine from beyond this realm where I couldn't find any help. I just surrendered and I asked for help. And it is in doing that, if you want to call it a ritual every day, I did do it 9 years, every single day. And what would happen is I would go out for it seemed like I was taking a nap, but I wasn't taking a nap. I was just going out, and it happened every time. It was 15 minutes where I would call, surrender, and then kind of go out. And after 15 minutes, I would kind of jerk back a little bit. My body would jerk a little bit, and I'd be back aware of my surroundings in the forest, sometimes even finding cattle and animals around me. It was really pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But it was in those times that I realize now I was getting energy infusions really straight from the divine. And I started to get informed about things that weren't going so great in my life that
Mm.
I had ignored and denied as a means of survival and control. I had ignored a lot of things. So that was my awakening, is to get the divine help to awaken me and open me up to bigger than the world I was living in, thinking everything was perfect when clearly it was not.
Mm. Vertical soul alignment. What is that?
Yeah, so that is what I call the world that we live in, all the goings on in the world. I call that kind of the horizontal world. And
Hmm.
for me, the vertical is when you really are going direct to God. And I don't mean with the church or with a teacher or anything else, just direct. And for me, going vertical, I call it going vertical, is when we're really going to the divine, to the supernatural, to beyond this world, to get the help for this world, and then to bring it into the horizontal world. Because I still had a very fiery life. I still had 4 children. I still had a big business. Then I was going through a divorce. It was very tumultuous. I needed help to navigate in the world, not to go be on top of a mountain and pray. That was not what I was doing. I was really calling for that help in order to vertically to support me in the horizontal world. So what happened is I got very much in touch with, in that vertical alignment. I had always been pretty spiritual in my life, but I wasn't connected to my soul, to the bigger purpose of why I am here. And I was really operating by society, society's world. And what happened is I started to really get in touch with the magic and of the supernatural world and how we can access it. And it really is my gift. I had it as a child and I just never developed it consciously. But my soul is here for that. My soul, and so it's when I say vertical alignment with your soul, I'm talking about that authentic part of you, right? That is connected to God and that knows why you're here and has the blueprint for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That all makes sense, no doubt. Let me ask you this. Why do you believe anxiety can be a disguised call to self-love?
Because what I learned, and I still have learned in my last 30 years, when we're out of alignment, it is when we start getting symptoms, like anxiety or fear, or like you said, nerve issues and things like that, or even disease. It I have seen that it is a sign that's calling us to something higher. It makes us pay attention to the deeper who you are and what you're doing in your life. So I really feel like it is. I like to see things in the most positive way anyway, but to really see it is not like something's really wrong, but that something is higher is happening. And the higher happening that I see in all the people that I support since that, in the last 30 years, is that when you pay attention to whatever the symptom is and go to the divine for help with it, you will see that it's taking you to something higher, and a whole new chapter usually opens up in your life, and things that are chaotic in your life begin to calm down, and you feel strength to deal with whatever the challenges are in your life.
Why do you think so many people today are troubled with anxiety? Anxiety disorder is something that was really unheard of when I was growing up. Now, every other person I know is on Prozac or Zoloft or Lexapro or this or that. I
Isn't it
mean,
true?
it's amazing. I
Yeah, it's
mean,
really true. It's so sad, and it's really true. And I've always been a forerunner in my life, and I was a forerunner with this anxiety
mm,
syndrome,
mhm,
But it is that our world is pulling us at all times to be a certain way, and that pull is very, very strong, and it can pull us, it does pull us out of connection with ourself, our true authentic self, and that causes anxiety. you're
mhm,
you're you're out of alignment with your soul. It's like static, in
mhm.
your system. And so I think that the world is faster, more accelerated, wilder, more chaotic, more confused than ever before. And unfortunately, or I don't know, I don't want to judge it, but medication hides the symptoms,
Mhm.
but it does not go to the core. It does not go to the root of the anxiety or the depression or the hopelessness or whatever it is that you're going through. And why I've devoted my life and everything that I have in me to this technology that I do and what I'm doing is because I'm really a true believer that you've got to get to the core if you want to eradicate a situation, a problem, instead of just band-aid it.
Absolutely. Our emotions are feedback to the stimuli around us. I mean, so if our bodies and our minds and our souls feel out of whack, there's a
Yes,
reason, and
that's
you got
right.
to find out. And like you said, don't mask the issue by, taking a drug if you can avoid it.
Yeah,
Try to find out what's making you unhappy, what's making you
yeah,
depressed, what's making you anxious, and what can bring you peace and what can bring you joy.
exactly.
What is your biggest hope for readers who pick up Journey to Self-Love?
That they will see that it's actually easy to do, that it doesn't take thousands of dollars of therapy or becoming, a follower of any body or anything, that you and God can do this together. And it's really simple. It's really simple, and it's really accessible. And that's what I want to encourage people, is that you can access this help. And all it takes is what I call going vertical. Go to God, go to your soul for the answers. Because I personally, if I had just depended on my mind, and I did do therapy, but if you just do it mentally, you don't get to the root. You can talk about what's going on today and what's bothering you and all of that, but you don't get to the root. I have found that it takes going to the divine beyond this world, and ask for help there, that then, wow, you get to the root and you start to know. But you're also being held at the same time. You're not just being shown things that are causing the anxiety. You're also getting the support of the divine so that you can face it and deal with it, and have it released from you, from your body, from your mind, from your emotions, which is that freedom I'm talking about, you know, and being controlled by the outer world. You'll still be able to operate in the outer world, but from a much more centered, powerful place.
Wonderful advice, wonderful wisdom, wonderful book. The name of the book is Journey to Self-Love, Six Steps to Vertical Soul Alignment While Forest Bathing. It is a powerful guide for anyone ready to end anxiety and embrace true self-care and align with the divine.
Yes.
Jacqueline, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Oh, what a joy it has been. Thank you so much.
I appreciate your time, your candor, and your insight. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford for the Global Book Network. So long for now.